Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. We're in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and we're on part 2 of the Nightmare. The Nightmare is essentially a size large horse with black skin and fire. It has fire attacks on his hooves that combust anything that's combustible that they impact. You can take damage by being burnt by his mane and tail, and he snorts smoke and stuff. They also have like astral projection and stuff, and they can go through walls and stuff. So there's a lot going on with these guys. And because oh, pardon me, brain fart. Cardboard real quick here. And because he's not completely dry from the paint, because I made it oversprayed him a little bit, I'm just going to get some black cheap paint and hit him up with a good base coat again to make sure that everything kind of dries on him with the hot air gun. That's the real reason we're doing this. So I'm just getting a thick, I don't like that one. Let me get this one. I don't like that one either. All my brushes are terrible. I hate brushes. I'm just going to get a soft brush. I'm not going to really add any water or anything. I'm just going to give him a coating. And if this brush gets a little bit of paint in the tip, I use this for just generic stuff, so it won't be, the end of the world for me. Now that I'm looking at him, I actually probably could have hit him with a hairdryer, the +2 hot air gun of burning, and got what I wanted out of that. But that's okay. We'll do this. We're already here. Okay. Okay. Let's hit him with a +2 hot air gun of burning and dry this paint up. If you overspray, this should be really sticky. That's an indicator. Mine is not, so that was my fault. I anticipated the overspray. Should have used the +2 hot air gun and determined if I did overspray, but I didn't, so here we find ourselves. Alright, so we're going to need a lot of white on his upper part where his mane is and his tail is. So I'm going to grab some white paint. And we're going to just come back and paint him black again. I know it seems counterproductive that he's black already. But if we want to get a good look on these other parts, that's a lot of white. We're going to need to really hit him good. So what we want to do is we want to get in here in the cracks and the gaps and get that white. Okay. Get it really good, because we're going to probably, I'm thinking speed paints in there is going to be the easiest and best way to get the look we want. That might not be true. We'll have to see in a minute, and I'll know more once we get this white on here how I want to do it. Didn't have a great plan walking in as usual, so there's a lot of black shown through, which means I did not dry it adequately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it pretty thick with the white, which I usually kind of avoid that because you don't want to lose detail and stuff. But that's where we're at. Okay. We're going to have to +2 hot air gun this again, and then do another coat of white on it to capture what needs captured. Okay. Set that off to the side. Then I'm going to get my white paint and go back in for more, because I am a glutton for punishment. Okay, this brush has a decent amount of black saturation in it. So I'm wiping it out and drying it off as good as I can so I don't have to dirty another brush. And I'm going to try to come back with it. It's a little damp still. That's not ideal for what we're doing, but it'll work. Okay. There we go. That's what we wanted. That bright white is what we want. Okay. Now that we got the majority of the fire stuff whitened up, let's get our black paint out. And this is a little bit wet. And let's get this. I'm using a very small brush. This is like a starter brush from Army Painter, and it's about a size 1. And what I'm doing is coming back in and I'm going to trace around the fire the best I can and paint the horse underneath black. Now, we did not do any smoke coming out of the nose, and that's okay. For proxies, sometimes the best approach is not going all the way. You start adding too much to your miniatures, you never know what it's going to look like or how it's going to turn out. But if you try to be simplistic to capture the essence of what you're working on and leave it there, you'll often surprise yourself with your results. And I say that because I've been doing this for a while, especially working on the monster manual, and I really feel like that's been more true. Stressing myself out about how good the minis are going to look has been problematic and has not been helpful to my cause. Some of these minis I thought had been just atrocious, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help me do a good job on the next one. It just makes me sit there as the videos are uploading on my super slow internet stressing out about how bad the minis look. And that's not good. That's not healthy. That's not... Okay, I got black up on the tail right there. I'm unfortunately going to come back and clean that up. I wasn't paying attention. And then the hooves on the bottom are supposed to be fire too, but I didn't think about that when I was crafting it, so I think we're going to come up with an alternate plan for hooves in general. For now, I'm going to go ahead and paint these hooves black, but I think what I'm going to come back and do is like a red to orange to yellow dry brush on them, ultimately. But we'll see how that's going to turn out, because often, you know, what we think and what we do can't be the same thing. Especially when it comes to trying to do fast work. Trying to fit this in, because, you know, the ideal for me is to fit this into a half an hour format for the crafting and half hour for the painting, and I'd like to get it down to about 20 and 20. The reason for that is because I never used to spend a bunch of time prepping stuff. I used to just do like my way, and I didn't record, so it was like I could just kind of pop things how I wanted to pop them and come up with ideas, and if I didn't like something, I could just kind of stop and throw it away. But when you're recording every day, you know, and you've invested a bunch of time, you know, I got to get that video out today, because it seems like on the days where I'm out of town for work and I don't make a video, it seems like I lose a subscriber almost. So I'm like paranoid about losing subscribers for real. I'm happy to have subscribers. I know there's people that do YouTube for a job, and I'm not one of them, okay? Doesn't mean I don't enjoy the victories of hitting like 400. For me, hitting 400 was insane. When I hit 100, I was like, oh my God, how did this happen? I'm a dude in my basement just showing people how to turn garbage into garbage. And now it's like, obviously, as I progress, I want to go further with it, you know. Do I want to stay at home and be a full-time crafter? No. I like what I do for a living. But do I want to keep growing the channel and take it somewhere and maybe do bigger and better things with it? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the monster manual is going to be done soon. You know, we're way over halfway. I don't know what I'm doing next. No one's left me any ideas. So, not blaming you guys for not leaving me ideas. It's not your job, but, you know, an idea or two would be nice. All right, so now we're going to have to get back over on that white. I'm going to get a bigger brush for that, and I'm going to grab the white that I used earlier, and I'm just going to hit this side of his tail up again and hope that's dry enough to do what I want. Okay. And that looks like it's kind of what the best I'm going to get that. All right. Let's hit this with a +2 hot air gun. Make sure everything's really good and dry before we go to the next stage. So, we got to take a time out again real quick and get that white paint. And on the back of this flame, turn that white again because I must have hit that when I was painting the body. Okay. All right. So for this, we're going to get my favorite color on earth, which is pavement. Which, by the way, my local Walmart still doesn't have pavement. I have to make a road trip. I'm going to get my pavement. I'm going to wipe some of that off. This is a little bit damp. My brush is a little bit damp. And then I'm going to start coming around here and breaking up the black a little bit. And then if there's any little bit of white shining through, this will be your chance to cover that up real quick. Like there's a little bit of white there on his back showing through. Okay. And pavement is just a really super dark gray with like the tiniest drop of blue in it. It's just a beautiful, awesome, super useful color that I use all the time for stuff. I really, really appreciate the usefulness of this color because it makes a lot of things easier than they could have been otherwise. Now, if there's a little bit of white on the hooves, I wouldn't worry about that because, like I said, we're going to come back and do something with those hooves. So I'm putting the pavement away. I'm going to get this dark blue gray color. I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to dry him off, and then I'm going to come back and do some work with the dark blue gray. Okay. So for this, I'm just going to get this really crappy brush that I have, that I use as like a, not even a real dry brush, just I wipe a lot of paint off and I drag it around on and hitting high spots and create a little variation and not much in the way of detail really. Okay. I think that kind of is all the work that needed. Now I have here, this is, it's like masking tape. It's called painter's tape. I went to get masking tape and this is what they had down at the Dollar Tree and I grabbed it. So it's dark blue, so I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing super well. I'm going to grab my my yellow speed paint here, this Zealot Yellow. And I'm going to need a good bit of this. And then this brush is damp because we just washed it out. So make sure yours is damp. And then we're going to start hitting this white up with a fairly thick coat of this. And then if you have a little bit too much where it's too globby in some spots, Just feel free to drag it around. You want to try not to touch the black a lot, because if the black is not dry in some spots, what you're going to do is you're going to pull that black right into here. The speed paint will reactivate that water-based acrylic, and it'll just wreak havoc on you. So if you brush it for a second, don't rub against it if you touch it. Just kind of drag your paint and get out of there. Okay. We're already starting to get a kind of decent result here with this. And this is just the first layer of paint. I'm sure this white's not all the way dry back here. Oh, it was nice. Okay. There was a wolf spider in my office earlier. Came home from work. Had a couple little reports and stuff I wanted to do before I take the weekend off. I'm having a long weekend this weekend. I do have some stuff I have to get done, but for the most part, I'm just going to be maxing and relaxing, lounging around, making videos, playing video games. Mrs. Doom and I have a date planned for Saturday, but we're not going anywhere. We're going to cook hibachi here at home together as a fun lovers activity. At home, my hibachi costs just as much, pretty much, as going out for hibachi, and it doesn't taste as good. But you know what? Hey, it's a nice, date night kind of thing to do. I mean, play some games, play some Minecraft together or something. Okay. Now I'm going to clean out my brush, and I'm going to use that same exact brush. Oh, missed a spot on top of his head. Hold on. Get in there. Okay. And I'm going to do the base in dark brown. And to do the dark brown, I'm going to use burnt umber. What other paints did I leave out? There we go. Put the paint away. We're going to let that. We're going to work on this and let that speed paint kind of do its job. And you could really, after you do this base, you could stop there, and people are going to understand what you've made at this point. They really are. But I think there's some other steps we can do to really make this a little better, and that's what we should focus on, is trying to get what we can out of this without putting a million hours into it. That's the way to go. So what we'll do is we'll do something with the hooves, and we'll come back and do some more stuff on the mane in the tail, in the hooves. Now, because there's so much 3D stuff from the amount of time I had trouble getting him onto the base, getting him stuck in place, there's a lot of different 3D layers here. So it would not do us justice to leave this brown and do a light brown, like a medium brown, just to give it variation, then come back and put flock on it. We're going to actually have to do something with that base too, which, it's an extra step. It's okay, it happens. I am not a great planner by any means. I do make mistakes. And this one has been a good example of how many mistakes you can make in one video or on one miniature. So this is fine here. We're not going to need that yellow again that I'm aware of. So let's get our hot air gun. +2 hot air gun burning on low heat. And just kind of start drying this thing off. Now, on this thing's neck, I saw this when I was working on it, and I chose to leave it. This guy's got some kind of like necklace or collar or whatever. So I decided I was just going to work that into the deal. So I'm just getting a rich medium brown here. just painting that collar. Then I'm going to put a little, like a little metal ring or something on that, like with just paint. I'm not going to add anything to it for that. But just to cover that up and make that a thing. And I'm going to use this as the base coat for my hooves. It's a little lighter than the ground is right now. So it'll kind of help me see what I'm working on. Now, since I had this out already, I'm just going to add some little lines on here, some little marks. Just going to rub this around and get rid of this paint so it doesn't go to waste. And this should create a little bit of variation for a base coat if we dry brush that down some, because we know this needs some attention. We know that this is not the ideal base look. All right, hit him with the +2 hotter gun again, or her, or it, or whatever. All right, well, we're letting the base kind of misbehave for a minute. Let's come back with a small brush, and I'm going to get a light red orange color. If I can find it. It's called ripe tomato, and it would be ideal for what I'm doing here. All right, this is the ripe tomato, and it's a dark orangish red color. It's good. It'll do what I want. I'm going to get that small brush again. I'm going to get some of that. I'm going to smear it around on my cardboard, wipe a little bit off so I don't oversaturate. And then I'm going to do the hooves with that. And I'm not covering every single piece of hoof. They're brown underneath, and this is just going to be a step in the right direction of getting these hooves on fire. Now I'm just going to use this color here. It's called apricot. It's just a lighter orange. And without even drying that, I'm going to get this, wipe a lot of it on my cardboard, and I'm going to touch those in some spots, kind of like how when you look at charcoal, and charcoal burns with different intensities at different spots, and some are black and some are orange and some are red. I'm just trying to capture maybe an effect like that a little bit, just for to break up the monotony of these. And then I'm going to come back with that one more time, and every time you wipe this off on the cardboard, there's going to be less of the dark in it and more of the light. And then I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to tap it along and hit some of these spots. And that's all the effort I want to put into my hooves. I want them to look hot, but I don't want them to be on fire since I didn't do that as a theme. Now I'm going to get a small brush. I'm using a small brush. I'm going to get that orange. And the eyes on these are not super detailed. And I'm just going to color the eyes in. And then I'm going to go around them with black to get the shape back. Let those dry first before I do that, though. All right, so on the base, we need something that's kind of like crappy that we can dry brush with. And we had that brush earlier. We're going to get it again. It's what I call my super crappy brush. This brush is like beyond repair unless I put serious conditioning into it. And worried about it incessantly, and I'm not going to. It's just a crappy brush. The first color I'm using is called chestnut. It's kind of a reddish brown. Let's get our cardboard down here. This is it's more like an orangish tan than a reddish brown, I suppose. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. I'm going to drag it along here. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I'm kind of doing this is because this bright flaming horse probably casts a bit of a light around him as he runs and stuff. So I'm doing this trying to capture something like that. It's not a great idea. It's just an idea. Now I'm going to get khaki. And I'm going to do the same thing. And we're getting to about that point, everybody. So if you like what I'm doing here, if you want to support us in any way, please hit like, subscribe, share if you feel so inclined. Hit the notification bell icon. That'll help you find our videos again. Hit the notification bell icon. Or did I say that? Yeah, I did. Leave a comment. I like comments. They're exciting for me. Don't be mean. Oh, hell. Be mean. I don't really care. It doesn't really hurt my feelings. I just don't know how to respond is the problem, really. Like, I'm not mad at you. You know, you're not supposed to like everything I do or be my fanboy or fangirl. So I can't, blame you for not liking everything. So it makes it awkward. I'm like, oh, well, what do I say? Thanks for watching. You know what I mean? So besides those regular YouTube steps, the other things you can do to help are pretty basic. You can go to the website and buy some of our minis at dungeonswag.com. And you can join our Discord and hang out with us. This is Fire Giant Orange. And I'm going to use this for the next step. Right there, I'm just dumping it in. Larger brush. And we're going to do kind of like halfway out from his body in every direction. If you can tell what I mean. Like, I'm leaving the inner part yellow, and then I'm going orange. Trying to cover about half the distance of from where the heat originated the best I can. And on the tail, I'm just kind of doing it weirdly because I'm not sure how that would work, how that heat would go. I don't know a lot about fire. Don't let me try to trick you into thinking I do. I like fire. I mean, it's okay. I like to cook hot dogs on fire, but that's about as exciting as I get when it comes there. Okay. We're going to let that sit for a moment. And I'm going to come back and clean up around his eyes with some black. And I'm not going to use the same color I used. I have this this is just black Army Painter matte black. And I'm just going to come around, go under his eye, and over his eye. You know, that same black. Just going to rub around his nostrils a little bit. Not really painting anything, just rubbing it around there to darken that up a little bit because I want to. I'm going to do a couple little spots here too on either side where it's a little too light for me. All right, I'm pretty happy. All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. We just have one more little step here, and I just wanted to do something like a little medallion hanging off his collar or whatever that is. That's what I'm doing. Just using this weapon bronze color here. I'm just going to come and touch that collar bump. I think it's supposed to be like a chain or a ring, but it doesn't have any kind of detail. Okay. And there we go. That's my nightmare. And I'm sticking to it. See you next time. I think we're in like the Nightshade, or Nightwalker, Nightcrawler, and Nightwing entry next. We'll pick one of those three, obviously, and move on from there. But I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.